What up, nerds? Welcome back to the Nerdy Narrative. My name is Leslie Smith, and today on the channel, I have one for all of you out there who love to read books with all the thrills, chills, and kills of a serial killer. I'm talking about Unsub by Meg Gardiner. This is a psychological mystery thriller inspired by the never caught Zodiac Killer. It has a young detective who's determined to apprehend a serial murderer who not only destroyed her family, but also was responsible for terrorizing the Bay Area of San Francisco 20 years earlier. I am so grateful to my friend Ev who sent this book to me. Ev knows there is nothing I love more than a good book about a serial killer. And then I saw an advertisement from a local indie bookstore saying they were hosting a stop on Meg Gardiner's book tour for the release of book 4 in this series, and I thought, well, that's just too good of an opportunity to miss. I wanted to go and show my support so that we get more authors to come to my area, but I didn't want to do that without being able to ask some questions or know a little bit about the series. So I decided I was going to try and squeeze this book in, and it was so easy to do it because I couldn't put this book down once I started it. To give you a little bit more context on the book description, our main character is Caitlin Hendricks. She's a 29-year-old detective who has recently been assigned to the narcotics division of the sheriff's office. Then comes the discovery of a murder with the signature of the Prophet, a serial killer that terrorized the Bay Area of San Francisco, and her father was the lead detective on the case, and they never apprehended the killer. Over the course of that investigation, it just almost destroyed her father. It did destroy Caitlin's family. And now here we are 20 years later. This new murder has surfaced. They bring Caitlin in on the investigation because her father worked it. She had some knowledge. They also thought she would be able to talk to her dad into some assistance and insight because over that amount of time, there's been a lot of evidence that's gone missing for one reason or another, and they're scrambling. What I loved most about this book is that I never could quite figure out what I thought was happening. I was constantly in flux. Did I think it was the original serial killer? How could they come back 20 years later? And then I was leaning heavily into it was a copycat. And I even suspected maybe it would be some sort of twist where it was a child or some sort of family member of the original killer. I never could decide. The constant changing of my mind, it kept me engaged. I was looking at clues. And then I was also going, well, now wait a minute. We're looking at this case through the eyes of Caitlin. Is she noticing different things because she's going off the memory of her father who originally investigated and they're just intuiting things different? Or did this killer really deviate? Who is this killer? I was trying to employ all of the skills that I learned watching like 9 seasons of Criminal Minds, and I never figured it out. I was so wrong. Oh my goodness. This one, y'all, I am so glad that I went ahead and bought the rest of this series. I just had this feeling that I was going to love this book that much, and I'm going to confess to you, I have no idea how, well, I have a feeling I know how book 2, what's going to go on there, but as far as how the series continues, no clue, don't care, gonna read them and tell y'all all about them. A little real talk about the characters in this book and what I thought about. Obviously, we spend the most time with main character Caitlin Hendricks. I didn't like Caitlin. I did not like the way that she handled her emotions, how she dealt with her family, her job. I didn't like how she dealt with things, or didn't deal with things, probably is a more accurate way to describe it. I didn't even like how she treated other people in the book, but I liked reading about her. I don't know. Does that make any sense to not like somebody, but you like reading about them? That's our favorite type of people to gossip about, the ones we don't like. So I guess it does make sense. It could also be I'm subconsciously being petty and holding against her. Her favorite basketball team are the Golden State Warriors, and I'm just like, Caitlin. No. One tiny relationship that I did enjoy in the book, and it did involve Caitlin. She was really good friends with her boyfriend's ex-wife. I don't know why that appealed to me so much. I guess because people never talk about that sort of thing. They always want to talk about the people that are catfighting and hate each other. Like, you're just supposed to automatically hate the person dating the person you're supposedly have moved on from. I don't know. I just thought that was a very interesting touch and really enjoyed that. I have read so many serial killer novels lately that have taken place in this same setting. Now you might be thinking, are you bored with it? No, and here's why. Meg Gardiner changed everything in this one because she brought back, or possibly, we don't know for sure, but we think that the prophet, the serial killer that killed 11 people 20 years ago, we think that he has come back. Even if it's not him, there's another serial killer on the loose in San Francisco. And what happens is, San Francisco, a very big tourist trap, turns into a ghost town. That just changes the atmosphere and adds a whole different level of creep to it. Everybody is scared. As if it's not glaringly obvious enough. I really enjoyed Unsub. I'm so glad that I have a physical copy because this is one I know I'm going to reread and enjoy again. I would definitely recommend this to all of my crime thriller, psychological thriller fans, those of you who love serial killers or just love a really good detective story. I think you would have a fantastic time with this one. Even if you've never really gravitated toward this genre, but you enjoyed Criminal Minds or 24, you would love this book. I will absolutely be continuing this series. Like I said, I've already gotten into The Black Nowhere, which is the second book in the series. And I'm going to try and get my hands on the audiobook so I can immersion read it faster. And let's talk about the audiobook narrator for Unsub. The name of the narrator is Hillary Huber. This is the first time I've listened to anything narrated by this author. How would I describe her? She has a very deadpan tone of voice, so it's not something you're just going to be excited to listen to. Not an audiobook narrator that I would see had narrated a book and would get the book just because they narrated it. But I also didn't actively hate it like some narrators I've run into out there. One thing she did, it was so super cringe, and I'm just gonna make y'all suffer. If I had to cringe listening to this little snippet, I'm gonna let y'all do it too.
Port of Oakland rose above the docks, like at walkers from The Empire Strikes Back.
Did you hear that? Let me give it to you again.
In the distance, the loading cranes of the Port of Oakland rose above the docks, like at walkers from The Empire.
She really said at walkers. AT. Come on, Hillary. Oh my gosh. That hurt. It hurts every time. I mean, I swear I never cringed so hard in my life. I was actually cooking dinner when I got to that part. I stopped it. My husband was watching a YouTube video. I'm like, babe, I know you have no context for this book, but you got to hear this. And he was going, I cannot respect any narrator that does that. But that's just me throwing stones at glass houses because we all know I could never be an audiobook narrator. At any rate, that is my experience reading Unsub by Meg Gardiner. Have you read this book? If you have, let me know what you thought about it. If you haven't read this book and you are a true crime reader, psychological thriller lover, did I succeed in getting it on your TBR? Y'all will have to let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this review. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one.